Okay, so a few updates on this quick trailer build. So we got our water tanks here. We got two of these, as you can see, kind of long, thin. Love these Class A Customs tanks because they have two large 1.5 and two large or smaller 1/2 inch that they can mount in any orientation, no matter what you want. Because they put this little dip at the bottom on this style, lowers these points, and so it really increases your usability of the tank. So normally if this bung were up here and the bottom were here, you might lose this full depth. But because of where that's located, we're only going to lose a little tiny bit of water. So really nice tank design there, cost effective. These Class A Customs are they're just great tanks. So we're going to put two of these under the trailer, one for fresh water, one for gray water, because we want to be responsible about catching our water that we use, or my buddy does, and well, we all should be. But just a couple updates on other things. We installed these jacks on the trailer here, which work really, really nicely. They just release by hand. Oh, well, there's weight on it right now, so I'm not going to be able to release it. But you flip this down, the jack slides up, and then it pulls down. You can see the notch here and the notch here, so it just folds up and it tucks right in here. Just really nice, clean jack on the side there. We've got the 2 bars now for the rooftop tent. I bent another one for the rear, but I don't think we're gonna need it because these are really strong. It's actually flexing the sidewalls of the trailer before anything up here is moving. So I think we're pretty good in that regard. We got our solar panel, ceiling fan mounted. I think we're gonna hold off on stuff on the tongue for right now. We gotta see where everything is gonna go right now. We're gonna hook it up to the truck and full jackknife here to see the clearance before we weld that motorcycle rack on. So next I'll show you a few things inside. So now inside here you'll see, number one, you can tell as we add insulation, it's much quieter in here. I don't know if that translates to the video or not, but it certainly is way quieter. We put in our Arctic turn window, which is just such a fantastic window. I just can't get over these windows. They're blackout shade that's silver on the backside, so it reflects the heat when that's up. Window screen on the outside, and these latch together. So if you want any position of combination of the two, really easy. They disconnect really easy and come back up in here. This window comes full shut. Latches tight with 4 latches, very secure, dual pane. But also, I don't know, I just love these windows. We can open it 1/4 of an inch and lock it. So there's a 1/4 inch gap here, so you're still getting air, but because it latches and locks there, very secure. So nobody is going to be able to get in here while that window is latched down there. So I mounted that in the side, put our insulation in around there. We have actually 1 inch insulation in between the frame, and you can see the insides of the bolts from the rooftop carrier bars outside. We welded in these strengthening ribs just for a little extra. And then we put in this 1/2 inch insulation over the top of that to really give this some good insulation. I believe we're going to end up with about an R5 or R6 in here, which is a whole lot of insulation. Again, mounted our Victron solar controller here, fuse from the solar panel, got our battery that I'll show you in a second. Little Blue Sea systems here, hook the fan up just for a test. So our Max Air fan is working. You can hear this thing is whisper quiet. When I crank this thing up, still not terribly loud and moving a ridiculous amount of air. Great fans. With the shield that's on the top, you can actually run this even in a heavy rain. So this opens and closes that Works really, really nicely. So we're going to continue on the insulation scheme. You can see we got the plywood back on here. After we pulled this off, added the 1 inch and then the 1/2 inch and then the plywood back on here. We're going to do the same around the sides. You can see the cutout for the door here. We're waiting on the delivery of the door. So we've sized the opening per the manufacturer's specifications. We've chosen it for the time being, just run the battery back here. We thought about putting it out on the tongue, but just to protect it from everything. And it's not a cheap battery. So we've put the battery back here. We're going to build it into the cabinet. I actually have it connected. We're kind of blocking things in here. Lithium iron phosphate battery, $350. Fantastic battery. Got our Dometic fridge here, the CFX 355IM. That's the same refrigerator we run in Otis. Absolutely love this thing. So we're staging this in here so we can build the rear cabinet and figure out how high we want countertops, where we want countertops, where we want the sink, where this wants to live. If you haven't seen this fridge before, it's really great. Bluetooth control on this. The best part of this fridge, I think, is right here. Yes, it does have an ice maker. It's one of the few Dometics that actually has a little ice maker. You can turn this on and off. Cute little ice cube trays. It doesn't make a whole lot of ice, but when you're out in the middle of nowhere and you want to have a nice cold beverage, it's really nice to just have a few ice cubes for that. So, okay, so it's probably not the best feature, but it's a really fun feature. That's a fridge. A lot of storage in here. Really nice to not have to deal with ice melting, all that nonsense of a cooler. USB plug on the front. Again, because this is Bluetooth, you can set the temperature and everything from your phone. Same with the solar controller. So with an iPhone or an Android, you can control all your devices here really easily. So that's kind of where we are. I'm going to be working a whole lot more in the next 48 hours. So probably a few more videos, and we're going to wrap this thing up here shortly. Hope you enjoy.